Hey guys, what's up? What's going on? It's Terrell and welcome back to the Don't Avoid Success podcast. And today we're talking about navigating the thin line of knowledge. Seek wisdom, not comparison. Alright, so I just want to welcome you guys because today we're going to dive into the intriguing world of finding balance between gathering wisdom and the relentless habit of comparing ourselves to others. Our guiding light for this journey is Galatians 6 and 4, urging us to assess our own actions and take pride in our unique past without constantly sizing up against someone else. The bulk of our listeners are around 25 to 45, but those with steady income, modest savings, many of us tend to get cozy within our comfort zones, and in the process we miss out on incredible opportunities for personal and financial growth. But here's the thing, we're not just for entrepreneurs, seasoned professionals, things of that nature. Even recent graduates or anybody can find value here. So if you're here, thank you for tuning in, because we're going to explore how motivation and a fresh perspective can unlock potential for success. We'll share practical, faith-infused insights to tackle these challenges, and we'll do it through relatable stories and unveil some lesser-known facts. Our aim is to offer actionable steps and to inspire long-lasting change in our journey. So stay tuned and let's embark on this adventure. So the first thing I want to get into is Galatians 6 and 4. Each one should test their own actions. Then they can take pride in themselves alone without comparing themselves to someone else. This verse just highlights the importance of self-assessment without the constant need for comparison to others. You know, the dilemma of seeking knowledge while avoiding unhealthy comparison can be when someone is trusted for the knowledge that they have, then it becomes easy to rely on their expertise. We can count on them. We want so eagerly to know what they know. But there is a point where you have to go through certain things for yourself. And this requires a detachment from comparison. Comparison to another gives us expectation of what others already have gained or accomplished. And this can be frustrating when we endure our own trials, which will give us certain differences, or when we have to chart new or our own territory. You know, I want to talk about the story of Joseph in the Bible. It's a great example of that. This story hits close to home for me because it offers a powerful example of dealing with the challenges of comparison, imposter syndrome, and the need for a change in perspective. Joshua, a name we often associate with strength and courage, was initially a trusted assistant to the great Moses, one of the most revered figures in biblical history. When Moses passed away, this was a momentous time of transition for Joshua. He not only had to take over the leadership of the Israelites, but he had to grapple with stepping out of the formidable shadow cast by his highly esteemed predecessor. I can imagine that Joshua, in this significant transition, may have wrestled with feelings of inadequacy. Who wouldn't be when you're following in the footsteps of someone who spoke directly to God? And performed miraculous deeds? These emotions are easily similar to the imposter syndrome that I, like many of you, have experienced when we find ourselves comparing ourselves to others who seem more successful or more accomplished. But then something pivotal happened. As mentioned, God spoke to Joshua, telling him be strong, courageous, and not to be discouraged. The message was unmistakable. Josh had a unique role to play, and he didn't need to be Moses. Oh, that's good. He didn't need to be Moses. It was a profound change in perspective. Joshua realized that he could bring his own strengths and qualities to the leadership position rather than trying to emulate someone else. This story from the Bible serves as a profound lesson that embracing one's individual path and not allowing comparison with others to hinder personal and spiritual growth. Just like Joshua, I believe it's crucial for you guys and myself to understand and acknowledge our unique gifts. You don't have to strive to be someone else. I don't have to strive to be someone else to attain success. They can be those guys, you guys, I can be just like Joshua, my authentic self, and still strive. And I know a lot of you might not be able to see this, but if you look on my desk right here, I literally have that story of Joshua, and this is Joshua 1:9, and God told him, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." So as long as you got God with you, you don't have to seek everybody else's validation. But hey, I understand. I understand a lot of you may be feeling the struggles of financial stagnation. Many people listening might experience the frustration with your financial situation. Despite earning a steady income, you might find it challenging to accumulate savings or achieve financial growth. This stagnation can be disheartening, and I understand. Another thing you guys might be dealing with is lifestyle inflation. A common issue that we succumb to is lifestyle inflation, which means as our income grows, some of us tend to increase our spending on non-essential items and comforts, leaving little room for savings or investing in our future. Another thing is imposter syndrome, like we just discussed. The fear that we are not achieving our full potential and are not as accomplished as other people in our peer group can lead to this imposter syndrome. This sense of inadequacy can hinder our personal and professional growth. I understand. That's an illusion. We'll come back to it, but I understand. And another thing is a lack of financial planning. You don't know what you don't know. A lot of us haven't been taught, it hasn't been put into our heads and into our spirits that we can have financial freedom. So a lot of us sometimes have lacked financial planning. Without a clear financial plan or strategy, people may struggle to see a way forward, often lacking the knowledge and perspective needed to make informed financial decisions. But we are going to address that. I just want to let you know from a biblical perspective on wisdom, knowledge, and self-worth. Proverbs 4:7 advises, the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom, though it costs you all you have, get understanding. This suggests that wisdom and knowledge are worth the effort and the sacrifice to attain them. So if you've been through some things and you've made some mistakes financially, that's okay. As long as you take the wisdom from it, you're on track. You're not behind. And another thing says, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. This verse teaches us that recognizing our self-worth is an act of reverence for the divine creation we are. In other words, you come from God, and if God ordained you and if God created you and he said you are fearfully and wonderfully made and he loves you, you don't need the validation of anybody else. But I'm going to get to something more practical. I'm going to give you a few points that can help balance ambition and contentment, because that's delicate and it's essential as an aspect of personal growth and well-being. So let me give you these 3 points in quotes. Point number 1, I want you to understand the power of gratitude. Practicing gratitude for what you have can help maintain contentment while pursuing ambitions. This perspective shift encourages you to acknowledge and appreciate your current blessing. Research shows that gratitude is linked to increased well-being and life satisfaction. I want to get you this quote. Gratitude makes sense of our past, brings peace to our today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. And that's Melody Beattie. Another point, pursue intrinsic goals, inner goals, non-tangible things that can't be taken away. Pursue intrinsic goals. Focusing on intrinsic goals such as personal growth, relationships, and well-being rather than external rewards can foster contentment and ambition simultaneously. Studies suggest that the intrinsic motivation leads to more sustainable and fulfilling achievements. I like that. Sustainable, fulfilling. Let me get you this fact. Research in positive psychology has consistently shown that individuals who prioritize intrinsic goals over extrinsic ones report higher levels of happiness and well-being. Now, the last point I want to give you about balancing ambition and contentment is mindful progress. Embrace the concept of mindful progress. This involves setting ambitious goals, but staying present in the journey. Balance is achieved by appreciating the process, not just the end results. This approach helps prevent ambition from turning into an endless chase. Fact: the practice of mindful meditation has been associated with greater life satisfaction and lower levels of perceived stress. It can be a valued tool for those seeking to balance ambition and contentment. Right? So I'm going to give you 3 practical steps. You just got 3 solutions and 3 things to put in your mind. Let me give you 3 practical steps for breaking free from the comparison trap. Number 1, limit time on social media. Limit time on social media. If you're going to get on social media, have a set amount of time you're going to get on and get off. Or if you're going to get on social media, have a specific reason that you're on there. Okay, I like fashion, so I'm going to get on here today and see what my 3 favorite celebrities are wearing. And that's that, you know. And I'm going to get on here and I'm going to listen to my favorite motivational speakers podcast. So I'm going to get on here and I'm going to listen while I do my run. I'm running a mile today. I'm running 2, 3, 4 miles. So I'm going to limit my social media time to an activity or I'm going to attach it to a purpose. First thing, limit time on social media. Second thing, practice gratitude for your own journey. Look at your past self and thank them for enduring what they went through to get you to who you are today. But you have to have gratitude for your own journey. In order to have gratitude for your own journey, you have to be able to see and focus and have perspective of where you come from and where you're trying to go. So the last thing is set, and I love, oh my goodness, guys, please write this down. Set personal goals based on your values, not other achievements. I'm all for looking up net worths in Forbes. I'm not gonna lie. I look up net worths in Forbes just to put things into perspective to know that it's possible. But there is no way I'm gonna get on there and I'm gonna say just because this guy is a billionaire and he's from Houston and living in Houston, then I need to become a billionaire because he's a billionaire. Look, I set personal goals based on my values, not others' achievements. How can God bless you knowing that you want something just because somebody else wanted it? Nah, you got to want it for your family. You got to want it for your community. You got to want it for you. You got to want it for what you can do for others. You have to want it for the change that you can inspire and the greatness and the godliness and the giving and the philanthropy and the progress and the inspiration that you can bring. Just wanting something just because someone else has it is what I call shallow. But that's not you here on the Donor Voice Success podcast. We are about deep commitment, deep roots that go beyond the surface. So I'm going to encourage you to recognize your own growth and your own accomplishments. Set aside time to reflect before you get up out of the bed and say, thank God I woke up. Thank God I have a bed. Or thank God I have a roof over my head. Or thank God I have clean clothes to put on. Thank God I have a toothbrush. Just practice gratitude and recognize your own growth. In order to have growth, in order to recognize growth, you have to have self-awareness. And you have to be humble enough to know that you have things to work on and you were not as good as you are now at something. But growth comes in when you improve it. But in order to improve it, you have to first recognize it. Anyone you see creating something in life had to make the conscious decision that they were worthy and capable of better. They had to believe it enough to start to implement it into their daily thoughts and then finally their schedules, forming new habits to establish a new role. So as you are recognizing your own growth, I want you to go from consumer to producer in some area of your life, no matter what it is. Whether it's, if you're always listening, start to have a little bit of conversation. If you're always asking, start to see what you can give. If you're always looking at videos on social media and you're that passionate, let's see if you can start to create your own. I am here to encourage you to get beyond stagnation, get beyond limiting beliefs, stop comparing, and stop at that line where, okay, now I have knowledge, and if I go further, I'm just imagining what it would be like to be them. No. That's why I said anyone you see creating something in life, they had to make the conscious decision that they were worthy and capable of better. So I want you to go from consumer to producer. I want you to go from seeking knowledge to applying that knowledge, which makes it now wisdom. Now, I'm going to give you 2 lesser known facts that's related to knowledge, wisdom, and faith. I'm giving you so much information because I want you to apply it and change it. I want you to come from every different angle to know you're worthy. Okay, but the principle of 10,000 hours. The lesser known fact is that it takes an estimated 10,000 hours of focused practice to achieve mastery in a specific field or skill. This concept was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers. The idea is that sustained effort and learning over a considerable period can lead to exceptional expertise. It's a reminder that wisdom and knowledge are often the fruits of consistent dedication rather than innate talent alone. So what is that saying? Take that time away from comparing and put it into preparing, and understand that it's not talent separating us from who we think is successful and who we want to be and what's unreachable. It's often the work they're putting in. That's why you got to manage your time, and that's why you can't get caught up in comparing. The next lesser known fact is the origin of the word school. Did you know the original meaning? The word school is derived from the ancient Greek word skol, which didn't originally refer to an institution for structured learning. Instead, skol meant leisure or free time. In ancient Greece, it represented the idea that one's pursuit of knowledge and wisdom should be leisurely, enjoyable, and not forced or rushed. This historical perspective encourages us to approach learning with curiosity, patience, and a sense of leisure rather than pressure. And that's what comparison does. If you go from seeking knowledge, which is great, you got there because you're curious, it was fun, you were doing what originally was meant for school. But then when you start comparing and you start feeling pressure and anxiety, you've crossed the line. That's why today, think about it, we're talking about that fine line between knowledge and comparison. Now, our key takeaways in this, guys, I hope you remember them, is number 1, don't set goals based on other people's achievements. Set them based on your own values. Number 2 is take time to recognize and appreciate your own growth. And another one is cut off the social media sometimes, man. And I'm guilty of that as well. But when I am on social media, I'm doing research to try to get you an episode and stay consistent. And so, I want to challenge you guys to apply this to your life. I want you to hit me up, and I want you to like, subscribe, and share this. I want you to give me feedback. Go to the Inspired Progress page on YouTube if you're not. This is Terrell Jackson, and thank you for tuning in. This enlightening discussion on how knowledge teeters on the edge of seeking wisdom without falling into the trap of consistent comparison. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Please catch us on the next episode on Thursday. And don't be afraid to share your insight, your experience, your opinion. Thank you, God. God bless you. Peace.